Leon writes, Dear Dandy J, how do I deal with opponents in Rage Burst mode? Well, Leon, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. Now, I could go on for like an hour about this, and I want these videos to be sort of digestible, so I think we'll tackle it from two sides. I'm going to kind of cover what you can do like moment to moment in the match to mitigate Rage Burst mode, and then also the decision-making side of it, which plays a big part, and I think that kind of directly affects your decision-making moment to moment in the match. And also what you have to realize is that everything is situational in this game, especially when it comes to Rage Burst mode. You got to look at the round state. You got to look at who has how much life, what characters you're playing. Are they already in Rage? Are you in Rage? Etc. So I'm going to approach this from a rule of thumb standpoint, just to give you like a starting point of, you know, what you're going to do in the match and the decisions you're going to make in future rounds that influence that. But like I said, everything's situational. So if anybody ever tells you, always do this, and it's not qualified by like multiple other things, they're full of it. All right, so your opponent's in Rage Burst mode. So obviously the most immediate threat is they can ESIN. That's the dash slash, the slashy dashy that goes across the screen and does like all your life, right? Or well, let's be accurate. It does like 40% minimum to about 75 or 80% maximum damage based on how much rage meter they have when they do the ESIN, and how much rage meter they get is inversely proportional to how much life they have when they activate Rage Burst mode, which so if they have more life, they'll have a shorter rage bar or start with a shorter rage bar, and if they have less life, they will start with a longer rage bar. So it's sort of a comeback mechanic in that they have less life, they're more of a threat. It's completely invincible, so it'll go through anything you do. It can anti-air you from max distance. Also note that it's character specific how far it goes. Earthquake has the shortest by far, and other characters like Genjiro, his goes full screen, so the distance is dependent per character. So if you take all that into consideration, you basically can't do anything, which sucks. And your opponent can pretty much do whatever they want, which also sucks for you. But the good news is that ESIN and weapon flip technique both scale heavily off of throw. So the place you want to start at is you want to establish that the only way your opponent can do damage to you is if they throw you, which isn't so bad. I just spent the last two videos talking about how risky throw is. We all know that throw has like over a second long whiff animation. So from a purely like logical standpoint, the idea is that if you want to use that as leverage to make them have to throw you and then eventually bait their throw and then punish it, as you're also wasting time on their rage meter and their ESIN gets less and less threatening, which is easier said than done because obviously a million other things can happen in a real match. They can throw you and like weapon flip you, and then you have to decide if you want to burst that or if it's going to put you in a really unfavorable position. But at least you can use this as a starting point as to how you're going to interact with your opponent to deal with the situation. Now, it's impossible to talk about how to deal with rage bursts without bringing in the actual game state and the situation, because usually this is from the perspective of, I have a lead, my opponent rage bursted, now they can come back on me. And what it boils down to is, unless you're going to lose the entire match or you're going to win the entire match by bursting something that's punishable, your rage bar is worth more than a round. And I'll give you a specific situation because I think this situation is the most common situation where someone bursts where they shouldn't, and it's really hard to not burst in the moment. The situation is, you're up a round, you're winning the second round, your opponent bursts, and then puts you in a situation where you might lose the round or you're actually guaranteed to lose the round, and then you counterburst. I think if you actually want to play the odds, if you actually want to make the correct decision, I'm making air quotes right now when I'm saying correct, is under no circumstance do you want to burst in that second round. And actually, just to take that to its logical conclusion, I'm saying if you win the first round, you do not burst until the third round unless it's going to guarantee you the entire match. So let me give you a specific example. Let's say you're playing someone, you won the first round. it was super easy. It was like the easiest first round. You absolutely dominated. You don't think this person is even close to your skill level. And then you play out the second match. Now, let's say you're playing Genjiro because you're smart. And let's say your opponent's also playing Genjiro because they're also smart. They're just as smart as you. They're just not as good. And they get to a point at which, you eat a few random dragon punches. You're playing kind of sloppy because you feel confident. And you both have about 50% life. And then you have full rage and you throw your opponent and you do weapon flip. And they might not get killed by it, but they're going to burst here because if they get hit by this weapon flip, almost for sure they're going to lose. So they have to burst here. And then yada, 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 they land a throw on you and they weapon flip. And a lot of people's first reaction is, no, I am not losing this round. I do not deserve to lose this round. I'm not going to let them steal it from me because I'm way better. And I'm just going to burst. It's like they're not thinking with their brain. They're thinking with their ego, right? They just don't want to lose that round. And actually, let's take an even more extreme position. Let's say that after they burst your weapon flip, they land like a deep jump heavy or something into weapon flip. And as soon as you see the screen flash, that combo is going to kill you. Like that's, you have 50% life. If you let that weapon flip hit you, you're losing the second round. Resist the temptation to burst here because as soon as they bursted, they guaranteed that worst case scenario, you're going to go into a third round where you have your rage bar and they don't, which means in this specific example, you have Genjiro, you're going to get at least one rage bar naturally and get weapon flip. You're still going to have your rage burst and get another weapon flip available. You're going to have Isin available, and you're going to have the rage burst to get out of whatever combo, and they can't even threaten you that hard because they don't have weapon flip, they don't have Isin, they don't have any of that. So you should win the third round as far as the odds go. So when you're put in this situation, you shouldn't think, oh no, I might lose this round. You should think, I just won the match. Now again, easier said than done. A lot of crazy things can happen in this game. And it also comes down to character specifics. I'm giving a specific example of Genjiro, but let's say you play Ukyo. That's like the first character that comes to mind when you're talking about characters that don't get a huge advantage from their rage because he can't combo into his weapon flip from anything. But I think even in his case, if you want to play the odds, this is all still true. And if the match is super close, look, just like any other fighting game, it's going to come down to a coin flip. Somebody's going to flinch and that's it. So I think it's not really productive to try to dwell on that particular moment. It's like, oh, well, I picked a rock and I should have picked scissors, You want to concentrate on how you got to that close situation and make it less close next time. But that really applies to all fighting games. So anyway, this will probably be the last YouTube video I make before EVO. I'm going to start streaming more often because I gotta grind it out. And I heard they patched the online, so I got to check it out. So see me on Twitch. Later.